Oh my gosh. Just a little bit. Okay.
General terms and about what goes on a little bit in Midtown School. So all of your eighth grade parents, right? I don't have like third grade parents. Eighth grade parents. And I'm looking around and I see a lot of new faces. So does anybody in here has already had the experience? Already had the Midtown grading experience? Okay. So lots and lots of new, which is great. I can use a lot of things that I've been doing for years. So, Midtown changes every day, as you all know. I have been here 6 years. I came in September of 2016. I have been in this cluster for quite a long time. I started at Morningside. That was my first principal job at Morningside. And then I went to have experience at Garden Hills. Kindergarten to 7th grade at Garden Hills Elementary School, and spent a lot of time in the library. Ms. Nail was my librarian, and so the library still have libraries in the connection. The library is a really special place for me. Done my five, yes, on papers, but so I went to school there. Then I went to school at Sutton Middle School. The first year it opened. And so, I was planning to go from Garden Hills to North Fulton, which everybody knows that's now Atlanta International School without North Fulton. And then that was my plan. Well, APS intervened. And you know about that. APS intervened. And so went to Sutton Middle School for 1 year, the first year. And then I went to North Fulton for 1 year, and then I actually went to Northside, which is now North Atlanta. It seems everywhere I go, the name changes. I was at Inman, I was the principal of Inman and Howard. I was at Grady, down Midtown, and I was also principal at Cohen Middle School, which closed. That was actually closed. And then came back to Inman. I spent 11 years in middle school, so I know middle school. And so I have spent a lot of time in Midtown looking at systems and things like that. That's what I like to do. I like to see how we can make things as equitable as possible for every student, every classroom, so that everybody has a great experience. Now, it is the first thing I'm going to say. This is your child's experience. I'm going to assume everybody in this room has gone to high school, right? You yourself went to high school, right? You graduated from high school. This is not your high school experience, okay? This is your child's high school experience. I need to say that right up front. If you've been waiting to go to high school, you're not going to high school. So it's really important to remember that. Because, once your child went to kindergarten, that was kind of they were letting go. You were letting go. You were letting go. And so you really want to let your child have this experience. I was driving home yesterday with my dog, Devin. So I've been doing that, every day. And I hear a lot of chatter, of course, about Midtown. They forget that I'm a driver, I guess. And the principal. So a lot of chatter about the teachers, the coaches, everything that goes on there. Of course, I want to lead to Is that her? What? He did that, she did that. But I don't, even though I want to. I listen a lot as a principal, as a parent. I listen a lot. And this is my last job, you know, Devin, the last one. And that's what, as a parent, I do is listen a lot. I do not go to the teacher and say, my daughter said this happened. I don't go to the counselor and say, my daughter said this happened. I listen, and then if it's something that needs to, I let the child try to work it out. It's hard to do that, I know sometimes, but this is the time their child needs to start working things out. So I really, really want to, really think about this. Your children are ready. Okay? Your children are ready for this. Midtown is a very predictable place. It's predictable chaos, but it's predictable and organized, so you're going to be very impressed with that. The biggest change is going to be for your kids is 8 classes. Your children have 8 classes for 2 days. So that's probably the biggest thing that I want you to kind of remember, just to think about, is that's a big change for plus students. 8 classes. So we're not going to get into the minutiae of the schedule. We'll do that. We have plenty of time to do that on our next session. So I have had 5 kids. So all of them have touched Midtown at some point. And so I know kind of as a parent, the anxiety and things that you're going through. My job as a principal is to get the best teachers possible in front of your children. So that no matter what classroom your child has, it's going to be a good experience. I spend a lot of time doing that so that you can have confidence in what we do there. We have lots and lots of different classes, lots of opportunities for your children, lots of things for them to be part of. What I do not want you to do is stress about security. We've been doing this a long time. Where your child is right now doesn't mean where they're going to be next year. We know how to do it all that. I promise you. Of my 5 children, 4 of them that had either IEP or 504. They're all a mess. 4 to 5 are a mess. And waiting for Devin to go over to the mess. But I know how to deal with that. I know how to work with that. I have to hire people that do a really good job. When they come to Midtown. Don't let you worry that. What we want to do for our children is to try to keep things as calm as possible. Not the hype of I have to take all these classes, blah, blah, blah. Nothing, no minute is the most important thing in high school. Okay? It's just it's a 4-year path. Students are going to change a lot. Your job is going to change an awful lot over these 4 years. The person you knew is going to be very, very different. And to 2027, when they're walking across that stage, it will be very, very different. Hey, Tina. Well, hello. Come on over. I want to introduce you all, if you don't know, Tina Palekia, who is our 9th grade counselor. She's also our lead counselor for Midtown High School. If you didn't know that Tina was also a counselor here for a long time at Inland. And so she knows middle schoolers, she knows high schoolers, and she absolutely knows 9th graders. So, Tina, Tina, do you want to?
Good morning. My power went out at 3 this morning, so I started off with a really interesting morning, getting ready in spotlights. My husband works for a company, Pelican. And so he has all these like neon spotlights. So he set all those up so I could get ready this morning. So I did make it here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring around some sign-in sheets. If you guys will just sign in for me, and I'll bring some pens. We also have some handouts. We did a mailing. So if you didn't get the mailing, I brought copies of everything that went out. So you can certainly help yourself to those. We also brought our Southerner, our latest edition. So if you want to take a copy of that, it's excellent. You can see the great work that we do at Midtown. So that's it right now.
Okay. All right. So, everybody's always interested in scheduling, right? Is anybody interested in scheduling, what's gonna happen, all that? Yeah. First of all, I need you all to relax, okay? You all are very tense. I'm looking at you, you're very tense. Very tense. This is a really fun time because I really want you to have confidence that it's a very predictable thing. You're gonna really enjoy middle school, high school, and things that your child has got, so like the pandemic, right? Everybody's concerned about virtual learning, is my child behind. What I want you to know is what we look at where kids are right now, as far as scheduling, as far as opportunities, that kind of thing. It doesn't matter if your child isn't gifted, is not gifted, that doesn't matter. We look at current performance. So how they've done in 7th grade and in 8th grade gives the opportunities to do things. We also allow children to try things. You know, maybe they want to take a high level class. That's fine. We don't. I try not to pigeonhole kids into any specific thing. I want every child to have an opportunity. So I don't want you to worry about that. We do have the AP classes. You're going to learn all about that in January. You're going to learn about the wonderful Mr. Vincent. If anybody doesn't know about Mr. Vincent, he is our master scheduler. And you won't probably ever see him in person. He is the wizard. I do call him the wizard. You're never going to really see him, but he will answer your emails and he will do as best he can to explain everything to you, like Tina.
Hi.
So, why don't you share a little bit about kind of the 9th grade experience from your point of view? And there are a lot of 9th graders. There'll be over 400 9th graders, but you will take care of them all. So we just talked in general about kind of.
Okay. Did you have the schedule? Okay.
That just says it's a lot. I just said it's a lot. It's a big schedule.
It is, but they adjust well. And they usually adjust a little quicker than you do sometimes, if you haven't had a student to come through. The way that we do work it is really important. 2 components. Number one, we do ask that you register. And registration for students who are in the APS, that usually takes place in March. We need you to do this because this allows us to account for your student. It allows us to do projections. It allows us to create classes. So it is really important. We also will ask you to do the pathways completion, which will come from Mr. Vincent. And that usually comes out in January. And that goes in tow with once your kids come over to visit Midtown, then there'll be a parent meeting that next evening. And then we open the Pathways portal and that'll go out to you guys from Mr. Vincent. And we do ask that you complete that as soon as possible. And what the Pathways does is that allows you and your student to select classes, not core classes, but your pathways. For example, if you want to be in the theater arts pathway, the musical theater pathway, if you want to be in journalism, if you want to be in audio, video, tech and film, digital technology, it allows you to pick those courses. And the reason we wait until after the parent meeting is we will educate you on what those are. And we have what's called the all-in-one page for parents, and it's still up from last year, so you can actually go on and review that now. It will be the same page. We will just update it as we get closer. The other thing that you will select is your foreign language, and we will ask you to rank order that. If your child is in a high school level language here at Howard, if they're doing a full year and they earn a high school credit, then they will go into the next level at Midtown. So that would be like Spanish 2 or French 2 or Latin 2. We also offer sign language. So we do have a student can complete the graduation requirement for sign language by taking 2 years at Midtown. So that's also an option. The other thing that the Pathways does is it will also allow you to say whether you want AP, as Dr. Botman stated, AP Human Geography. That will be a selection you can make. And it allows you to also rank order your elective classes. So what this does is allows you and your student to really pick courses that your student is interested in. Okay, so it's not just about the core component classes, but this really, the students are going to transition better if they own a piece of designing their schedule. And that gets them into that kind of routine because they'll do it every year from there. If they are not in classes that they're interested in, it's more difficult. So we want to pick things that pique their interest. So again, the two major things that we ask you to absolutely positively do: register and to complete the pathways form. Okay, because again, that will make up for an easier transition. Now the schedule. Currently, we run on an A, B, and C day schedule. Currently, we have our C day is on Monday, typically. And on the C day, they go to all 8 courses. So we shrink the time span that they're in those classes down to about between 50 and 60 minutes, but they're able to go to all 8 courses all on Monday. And then on Tuesday, that's an A day. So they will go to 4 of their classes on A day, and then on the B day, which would be Wednesday, they go to the other 4. And then it rotates A day to B day. Make sense? Okay. So that's the way their schedule runs. We like the C day. It's a lot, but we like the C day because it allows your student to see that teacher in every single class. So that's really important too, just to be a little more cohesive, so it's not an every other day scenario. Graduation required courses for freshmen. 9th grade lit, that is required. A math course, it all depends on what they're taking now. If they are taking math 8, 8th grade math, they will take algebra 1. If they are taking algebra 1, then they can go into geometry, or depending on how they do on the end of course test, they may qualify for the double math, which means they take algebra 2 and geometry. So they would do algebra 2 the first semester, and that class would meet every day, first semester, but by the end of the first semester, they have completed a full year credit of algebra 2. In second semester, they take geometry, and that will meet every single day. But by the end of the second semester, they've now completed a full credit of geometry. This is intense, and that's why we have criteria. And we use the EOC, the Algebra 1 scores. They have to hit distinguished and have to have an A in the course to qualify for the double math. Okay. Next required course is biology. So that is the science in 9th grade. And then social studies, the required course is civics, American government civics. If your child qualifies and opts to take the AP Human Geography, they can also take the civics and knock it out, because it has to, that semester American government civics course does have to be taken before graduating. It is a graduation required course. So AP Human doesn't take the place. At some point, they have to take that. Now, down the road, as hard as it may be to think about this, when they're a junior, if they take the AP Government and Politics, that will cover that civics semester-long course. So that helps. Also, we have several other opportunities like Atlanta Virtual Academy. That's a class a student can pick up beyond the day or over the summer. So those are things that we like to use Atlanta Virtual Academy for. So that's the 4 classes for your freshmen. The rest of them, again, are foreign language. We'd like to go ahead, even if your child isn't in a foreign language here, we'd like to go ahead and get them started as a freshman, simply because the graduation requirement is 2 full years of a foreign language, but many colleges and universities really like to see 3, so that's why we like to get them started their freshman year. That pretty much covers the schedule.
Any questions about the schedule? that you have? Number 1.
Not a question about the schedule, but about the registration.
Okay, so if you are not currently an APS student, your registration will take place in June typically. However, you can go ahead and do the pathways form, and I would suggest that you do. And as soon as you get a final report card, I would also suggest you email that to me. Because that allows me to plan for your student and develop a schedule in my brain or on paper, so that as soon as you register, I can get your schedule done.
And how do you do this?
Everybody will have access to the link. It's on the Midtown website, and we'll walk you through it that night that you all come in January. But it's on the website, and it's under parents. If you hover on parents and students on the website, it pops up, new student, and you click on that, and then there's a page specifically for freshmen called All in One.
Does that contain details behind the name of just the class, so like an AP Human Geography? Does it give a little bit more
Yes.
detail
Oh,
on the
there's-
covers?
Yeah, once you get there, it will tell you everything you need to know about AP Human. It will talk to you about how to qualify, how students qualify for that course, the double math, the honors classes. It will then also say, click on this for pathway descriptions. And some of the pathway descriptions actually have videos that the teachers and students have done to educate you a little bit more on each pathway.
If you've taken 2 years of language in middle school, but you're choosing a different language when you get to high school, how does that work?
And that's perfectly fine. But the 2 years, it likely is still only a foul. You
But
still
the
earn that
language
credit.
has to be the same language for 2 years to count as a graduation. So you can't
So you
mix
have to take
languages.
2 years of your.
Same language. Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed that. Yeah, it has to be 2 years of the exact same language.
When are grades final, the grades, talk about that.
So your grades here at Howard, they typically post the first week in June typically, because I think the teachers have to put them in that end of May. And then they typically post a transcript in our final that first week. And so that's when we'll be able to finalize a lot of the schedules.
I'm sorry, in high school.
Oh,
Grades are final in December and May.
yeah, so don't get, in high school, when we start this semester, we will send you several progress reports and report cards. We send one at the 4.5 week, we send one at the 9, the 13.5, and then the end. Those grades are rolling. Nothing is posted on a student's transcript until we post, which is typically the first week in January, until the semester is complete. So nothing is final, nothing is concrete. So let's say in October, your student at the progress report has a 70% and you're flipping out. Well, I mean, you can flip out, but your student has until the end of December to move that grade into a better grade. So don't worry, you know, it is a rolling grade, and it does take getting used to because you start getting panicked a little bit. But again, what we do offer to support students is all of our teachers offer a 1-hour tutorial, at least once a week, if not more. We also have what's called the Math Center, and the Math Center, again, is exactly what it says, and we have peer tutors in there, so older students that are helping as well as teacher. And it's open Monday, Wednesday, Thursday from like 3:45 to 5:30. We have the Writing Center and the Media Center too also. And then this year we implemented Saturday school. So various Saturdays, we are having Saturday school, and it is staffed by the Midtown teachers. Again, specifically to help students move those grades before it's the end of the semester and post on their transcript.
Some of our students in Beta Club are also peer tutors at Saturday school. Service hours? Talk a little bit about
Okay,
service
community
hours.
service, which is rolling. This has been an ongoing thing since last year, but the district has finally rolled out the brand new guidelines for community service, and it is posted on the Midtown website. And it's going to be in the nightly news. Hopefully this week I will send a link. But the guidelines They are very clear as to what community service is and is not. For your group of students, they will need 75 hours of community service hours by the time they get ready to graduate. We do start counting hours this summer before your student is a freshman. So like in July, before they start at Midtown, though, if they're doing community service, those hours can count. We are moving to a new platform called My Volunteer, which is a new app. And that again, we are in the process of rolling all of that out this month and the beginning of next month. For your students, I don't know, are you all rolling that out too, Minnie? Okay, then you're probably not. So in the meantime, here's what I would recommend that you do, because you definitely want to document and log the hours, and you want your students to get credit if they are doing stuff over the summer. So what I would highly recommend is if you, again, go to the Midtown website, click on the counseling department. When you click on the counseling department, you're going to see over to the left side, forms and downloads. And you'll click on that. And the first two items, the first item is the guidelines, the brand new guidelines for community service. The second one is the APS form to use to document and log your students' community service hours.
I just want to add up, a lot of your students are interested in earning hours before the ninth grade years. They can ask me how many pressure.
It's the summer before. The summer before.
So right now, those hours are logged on the sheet, but there's an app coming. Is that what you're kind of-
We, yes, all of our students are submitting their paper docs, where they're coming to us and telling us and showing documentation, and we're trying to load that in. But again, we're just now being finally, this week, the staff is just now being finally trained on it. It did load in my backpack, the little app, which is great. So in the next month, we should be rolling on that platform. Hope, fingers crossed. Yes,
Does the app have like different opportunities? Like
it's amazing. I played with it yesterday, and when you click on it, we had already asked our clubs and activities to go in there and build their information. And so when you click on it, there's stuff from the United Way on there, there's stuff from Midtown, other resources in the community, and there's even a map that shows you like where all they are, gives you directions. I mean, it's really a nice, it's taken a while for us to get there, but it's really a nice platform that's very user-friendly.
There's lots of different activities. I think of one, I have a group of students, 3 girls that have come to me and want to start a recycling club. And it's very specific to paper products at Howard. We're coming here to get your paper products. Paper products, but they've done a whole plan, and they're gonna, you can earn service hours if you join that team, that club, after school, doing the recycling. So there's a lot of internal things. We love for kids to come up with ideas like that. We really encourage that. And the student has an idea to come up with that. You know, so we try not to, I try to talk to them a lot about how I can support their goal, their dream, what they want to do. That's a lot of what we do is really trying to, if they come with an idea, really trying to make that happen for them. Things that they can think about, that kind of thing. I try to discourage adding more club. You know, everybody, they all want a club. They all want a club. But what happens is, you know, you start a club in your 10th grade year and you're gone, and the club is still like listed on there, the Elton John Club or whatever, it's still listed on there. And you know, so it's really it's activity, it's projects that we want to support. But students that do that after, it has to be after school, but they'll earn service hours for that. So lots of different ways to do that. Our football team is doing a trash pickup this week. You know, all kinds of ways to, we really do want to offer what your children want. We want to support there are initiatives, they have a lot. We have, the clubs are really mind blowing, if you look at all of them, you know, film and cinema, to just anything, chess, the Muslim club, the, you know, international club, you know, Gay Straight Alliance, there's just anything there.
I think the district, when I was being trained, I said, I'll tell you what, I said, I will send you the link for our clubs and activities. And I'm sure when she got the link that she had to send the email to everybody on our clubs and activities, I mean, it's pages. I mean, it's at least like 5 or 6 pages of clubs and activities. And that's the one thing we do encourage your student to do. You have to push them to try to get involved, whether it's an activity, a club, athletics, something. They have to own a piece of Midtown High School. If they don't own a piece and they're walking in at 8:30 and walking out at 3:30, it's not going to be a great experience. Midtown offers so many opportunities for our students. They need to take full advantage of everything that is out there. So again, you don't want to overwhelm them, but they definitely need to find the niche, find what they're interested in, and do it, and support them on that, because it is so important.
My son, who graduated in 2021, Tomas, he was very into, his pathway was theater. He did engineering too, he did 3 years of engineering, but much more the theater, it was tech theater. He did not want to get on stage and say anything, but he was big into the sound and lights, and that's what he did. That program is, we have a scene shop where they get to use power tools and stuff like that, and weld and things like that. But all these programs, coffee houses, we haven't heard about our coffee houses. It's like a college coffee house kind of thing where kids go and perform. They try out, but it's like 30 acts, and it's whatever they want to do, from comedy to singing to whatever. I mean, it's an amazing thing. But the arts program, every program is really top notch. Our pathways are industry certified, which is a huge thing. It's a very rigorous process, but finishing 3 years in a pathway is a big deal. You know, that's a really rigorous process, but we're very, very proud of it. Everything there is high quality. You know, that's just what I'm all about, is if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. And things are going to go wrong, but this is not like, utopia, but things are going to go wrong, but it's not, it's not fatal. It's just things are going to go, let us handle it. You all let us know what's going on, but you're really going to be amazed if you haven't been there at all that we do. Every night of the week, there's something. We started using the front lawn for concerts, band practice, but concerts, all kinds of things. We had our fall chorus concert with the Spring Hill Park, and we do a lot of things with the elementary schools, and of course with Howard Middle School as well. So Devin, my daughter, she's taking Latin, it's up your pathway, marketing, and she really enjoys that. The marketing program is great. If you look at our Facebook page, you'll see a lot of the things that we do. The DECA Club, which is marketing. We have Rock the Street, Wall Street, which is our female students doing a lot of work with that. They went to Invesco this week and had a really good experience. So field trips, very specific to what they're interested in. We have a new pathway this year called Workforce Ready. Mr. Eichhoff runs that, and what he's doing is developing it out, but it's a way to prepare kids for careers. So you're not going to go to college right away. Okay, you really want a career when you leave, and so he starts that with talking with Georgia Power, with Georgia Tech. Kids are going to go over and shadow some people in the facilities design department, that kind of thing. That's his job, is to really think about kids that want to do something different, not just a traditional college. They really want to do something different, and it's not just going to work at Cookout or something. I mean, it's a career. They start a career right away with jobs that are $50,000. So that's a big part of what we do. Back to the transcript thing, I just want to say, if your child takes the double math, please know that the October grade, that October is a final grade because you are doing a full year's worth of work in one semester. So that's kind of the only class, unless you're taking that foundation to algebra, but it is, right, the October 10th is a grade on your transcript. Okay, so you don't have time to waste with that. And I would really, everybody thinks, oh yeah, my child's ready to do that. It is, some people have had kids in the class, but it is a lot of math and a lot of in one time. You have to think about that. I really want you to think about the activities your child is in high school. So if your child plays soccer, travel, basketball, travel, or they're in something at Callan Wall that really interests them. They're in dance. They're in something that really consumes. They're involved in church. They're involved in something that's really important. You've got to think about that. You can't just add on an 8-period schedule to what they're already doing. Okay. Devin right now is struggling with an 8-period day. She's playing basketball for Midtown. She's also still in soccer. I'm just telling you, it is a lot. Don't anybody say anything. Some of y'all know it is a lot. It is a lot. And I mean, if she had been taking that double math, it would be over. She wouldn't. She is struggling. Just getting home. Soccer is at 8:30. The practice starts at 8:30 or whatever. She gets home at 9:45. She's doing homework until 11:30, 12. That's not going to be sustainable. We're going to have some decisions to make. Basketball game tonight, one tomorrow, going to Charlotte for a soccer tournament. This is all in 24 hours, okay? Playing soccer in Charlotte and coming back Sunday night. I mean, you have to think about that. That's crazy when I say that. Okay, this is crazy what I'm doing. But, they're going to want to try it all. They're going to want to do it all. They're going to want to think they can do it all. They cannot. And this is where you have to step in as a parent and be a parent. And you have to say no sometimes. You really do. But if you add on double math, human geography, honors biology, honors all that, it is too much. I'm telling you, even if your child tells you they can do it, because let's remember, they do like to be on. Okay, right? This is important to them. So you have to remember you have to schedule that in. We don't want that, but you do, and that can be 1 to 5 hours a day. I mean, you have to think about that because they're going to want that. They need that. It's addicting. You know how addicting it is. But this is where I really need you to be parents and say no to some things. Your child's not going to miss out on anything. I know everybody has this dream. My child's going to be an AP Calc in 11th grade and then take AP Calc BC in 12th grade. That's what you want. Very small. I have a couple of parents in here who do have children that are in that very, very high. But BC, AP Calculus BC, that is a very small. We have one class of that.
7 or 8.
One class. I mean, it is really for the kids that are really thinking Georgia Tech, something like that.
That's what I check, and I can tell you my child will not be in that class.
Right.
I'm not pushing him
Yeah.
for that class at all.
I mean, so that really is a very, very small 25 kids that are in that out of, we start with 450 in 9th grade, 25. So,
And I will just tell you that for me to call you, I am going through this now. That I'm having several students that are coming in tearful, boys, girls, it doesn't matter, that are tearful and very emotional because they are overwhelmed. And that's so hard as just for me to see a student struggling like that when they should be loving school. I mean, you know what I mean. But I mean, it's just so hard. And then I have to make that, phone call to the parent that we have to really look at, okay, we're going to be ending, we can make it through this semester, but maybe we need to drop an honors course second semester. Maybe we need to adjust here and back off. And then we talk about moving forward because they're starting to look at their classes for next year. Maybe don't take all of this next year. We've got to kind of back off of it. So just because your kids meet the criteria for things, it doesn't mean they need to always do it, number one. And number two, this parent yesterday asked me, well, how does that look on their transcript, if they don't take honors? And I said, the way that I look at this is just me. And of course, I'm a peon freshman counselor. I'm not one of the senior counselors, but what I will say to you is, I said to the parent, okay, there's an H on there, but they might have gotten a 70, maybe a 75, but down here, there's no H, but they got a 90. And that doesn't always happen, but I said, the first thing that colleges and universities look at, they look at your GPA. That's the first thing they ask you, right? They're not asking for how many honors. They may get to that, but they're looking at your GPA first. So again, like Dr. Button said, really look at things and really kind of lay it out for your student. Just because they meet the criteria doesn't mean they need to do it.
So speaking of that, do you offer dual enrollment as opposed to AP, like later on, obviously not ninth grade, but later on
We
is
do.
that as an option as opposed to the AP courses?
Yes, and that, a lot of students sometimes choose to do that, some choose not to, but yes, dual enrollment, they can actually begin in 10th grade. However, the guidelines and restrictions are so hard in 10th grade, they need so many things that they may not have at 10th. And so most of our students are doing it in 11th and 12th grade, and that's definitely an option. And we partner with Georgia Tech, Kennesaw, Georgia State, and that's definitely an option because not only are they going to get high school credit for certain classes, but they'll also get college credit, and it's free if they go through this process. So it is something to really consider as they matriculate up.
And you can offer counseling towards that,
I
or
I
not
do
you
that.
personally, but
I
somebody
do
there
that.
can offer kind of guidance towards that
Oh,
process.
Our counselors, the other three, that is their focus. And Mr. Young, he is the one who's in charge of dual enrollment. And we have at least 2 meetings a year for parents. We've already had one, we'll have another in February. And even as a freshman parent, you can come in and become knowledgeable about it and what's required as your student matriculates. But again, they sit down and they do an amazing job with all of these opportunities that are out there. You will get inundated with emails and blasts.
I wanted to add that in February, I'll have
Can I ask a question about, we have a huge emphasis, I feel like, not just Midtown, everywhere, on college entrance being dependent on math. Everything seems to be STEAM oriented. I have a child at Midtown right now who is arts and math, an odd combination, so I'm not as concerned about her. Child number 2 is all language, social studies, history. What do you all recommend from the get-go for a child who is not probably going to do the double math, et cetera, will not be doing AP calculus, probably AB or BC? What do we do with that child who is really, again, the social sciences? What do you all recommend for the college, recognition, admission process?
And so what I can say to you is what I was talking about the PTA. What they need to do, what makes them excel to colleges and universities, and I hear people say this, they have to create their own story. They have to create their own resume as to who they are and why they stand out. And so in that student's case, they would likely take AP classes, not math, but psychology or maybe under science or something else. So they would use that as a springboard if that's what they choose to do. But I think just doing well, being an overall well-rounded student, so being involved in activities, community service, making the area that your student excels in, they need to be a standout in that area. And so, because then when they ask teachers to write letters of recommendation, They have created their own story, whether they choose to go to college or they choose to go straight into a job, or they choose to go into training, whatever their aspirations are, we will support that and encourage them to do that. And we offer so much they can at Midtown.
Do you feel like the college counseling program at Midtown is robust enough to answer those questions and to help guide that student who is not going to be?
I
You know,
do.
the easy, when I say easy course, I don't mean, follow that easy
The graduation
defined
requirement,
AP
yeah.
course, to get to college,
They do, again, the three counselors, number one, they do an amazing job, but also understand that we have the CCC and we have 2 college advisors in addition to us. So that is a whole nother avenue, and they have everybody, they have, every school that you can imagine coming in either virtually or in person, and they have them come in and meet with students who are interested, and they expand. We have tech schools, everything that your child would remotely be interested in. And if it's something we don't have and they tell the counselors, they'll get them in there. So the College and Career Center, which is CCC, is amazing what they're doing in there with the 2 college advisors. And we have parents who have been supporting that as well. And Delta, I don't know, Delta came in, I believe, this week. So, there's just so much going on. University of Kentucky, where I graduated from, they
There's like
came in.
nobody in that line.
So, yes.
Georgia Southern on the other hand.
So, yes, I am high, again, I can't speak high enough about the other 3 counselors. I am amazed at what they do with our seniors. And when you look at the amount of money that our kids earn in scholarships, that says a lot.
I have a question. This is my 8th graders, my current 8th graders, the oldest that I have. And one thing that Howard doesn't do now, and maybe they did in the past, was exams. And my concern is how are, our kids who have never had exams, what should we be doing to kind of teach them these important study skills going? Because I'm assuming y'all do exams yeah. So is it new for Howard not to do final exams, or how prepared what can we do to help our kids prepare for that first year where they're really going to have their first final exam?
I know we're in the post-Faulkner years of Howard.
And I'm not, that's not a
All
criticism.
reading about that. But an exam is just a test. It isn't a test. It's just a test that takes place. The best thing about exam week for kids is they get to leave at 12:30. And it's just a test. That's all it is. And sometimes they don't even give an exam. It's just really, so you can't hype that up. You can't, I made a mistake. I hyped that up just so I know the kids have come because I think it's this big thing, but it really is just a test. Or maybe a project or assessment, that kind of thing. So you don't want to, you really do have to take a lot of deep breaths and really, because when I hear what it's like, your child's not majoring in anything in high school. If they're majoring in anything, it's just experiencing a lot of things. You don't need to worry about where your child's going to be on May 25th, 2027. You just don't need to worry about that. They will evolve. All of you, if you're here, you have expectations. You have provided a great foundation. If you're here, you have. So they're going to do fine. But I really want you to think about the pressure that you might be adding, even if, whether your child might be a 1st generation college or 5th generation college. Everybody in your family's a lawyer, everybody's this, you got to back off, because Tina and I, more and more kids are pushing themselves so hard, and they get to the junior year, and it is really a very, very difficult time for kids, because in the junior year, they tend to take like 5 AP classes, 4 to 5 AP classes. They're doing a lot of stuff. It's also junior is heavy on testing, SAT, ACT, PSAT. They do milestones. They didn't do any milestones in 10th. They do milestones in 10th. It is a lot. And that's when they really start worrying about college. And, you know, some parents start college tours very early. Not excused, those absences are not excused. I said that, but you really have to, you gotta calm down. 9th grade is just a time to just let them get in.
Let them be.
You know, just let them experience. You all have done your job. They're not gonna take basket weaving for 8 class periods. No offense to the fine arts, no offense to the arts people, but they're gonna do what you have expected them to do, what you have, you know, but we're not training kids, okay, we're not training them. We're letting them experience, no matter how much money you have put into them, you can't expect this payoff. We're just raising children, that's what we're doing. So I really want you to let them be 9th graders, you know? A lot of parents are like, okay, this summer, you can take geometry in 4 weeks. You can take 4 weeks of ABA geometry, and then you can take health too, because that's a requirement, and you can do the physical science, physical fitness, all of that. Don't try to cram this summer. Do not try to cram this 8th grade summer with stuff to get ahead. That's not the point of what we're doing, getting ahead. But in junior year, so many kids, I'll say fall apart, that's a little dramatic, but they really have a hard time. And all of a sudden they have anxiety, depression, medication. I mean, they have done that to themselves, peer pressure and that kind of thing. And then we start looking at, okay, let's see, what's causing you so much stress? Oh, you're taking these 5 AP classes, 6 AP classes, you're in these honors classes. Let's drop down to maybe not an AP class. You can take physics, you don't have to take AP physics. No, I can't because I can't. They don't want to drop anything, but they're completely under stress. So, and we have, I had full-time therapists, Chris went a full-time 5-day-a-week therapist, so many counselors, so many student support people. That has increased every year I have been there, the support because of the stress. It really has. Last year was very, very difficult coming back from full-time virtual. Very difficult for some kids to get back into that. I mean, it was very hard. This year it's better. And we adjust, we've adjusted a lot of the things like you have at home, like we do at home. We can't expect kids to be the people they were 2.5 years ago. Devin and Trent, they missed all of 7th grade. I mean, they were home all of 7th grade, 4 months of 6th grade. Their math skills are not where they need to be. That is not Howard Middle School's fault. How can you learn math? It really isn't. It's just, it's what happens. So you have to adjust your expectations.
On that note, that was one of my questions. This is the first class that's had Amplify for 2 years. Is the 9th grade staff also trained in knowing what Amplify, ELA, and Amplify math is, knowing that what they've had for ELA and math is different than others?
I don't even know what that is. So that's your answer to your question. I don't know what that is. They take 9th grade lit, they take algebra, geometry. I don't do.
It's the mandatory curriculum for the middle school, how they're teaching ELA and math now. So it started last year. So
it's not well regarded by most parents.
It's just a new place. So on top of COVID, that's my question, is that knowing that they came from a different curriculum and teaching model, because it's very different. They're not reading.
Well,
they're not reading like it's so you guys are. So
okay, here's what I can tell you is, well, I'm gonna get the majority of our kids are from Howard. I'm getting kids from Centennial. I'm getting kids from Westminster. I'm getting kids from the little middle school. I'm getting kids from homeschool. I'm getting kids from California, Minnesota, South Georgia, North Georgia. We teach what we teach, which is the Georgia standards for 9th grade. We use My Perspectives as the textbook, but we just teach. we just teach, I mean, there is, if a child needs reading and math assistance, we have math support classes, we have reading support classes, and that's based on their performance in eighth, which is normal performance in eighth, that's what we do. So, again, you have to leave all your rules and know that we got it, but, I don't, I don't think, I do know it.
Just out of curiosity, along those same lines, what is the math curriculum?
Georgia standards. It's the Georgia standards. That's not a trick question, that's a trick question.
And we're coming from a different environment, so our kids use Singapore math, so I'm not educated with that.
And you can go on to the DOE and pull up the standards for those.
So when a student chooses a pathway, like, are they on that for 4 years? Can they change it? How does it work?
I mean, once they pick a pathway, we do like for them to stick with it. However, let's say that your child starts it as a freshman, and by the end of their freshman year, they really are not into it, and they maybe have joined a club that is underneath the pathway, and they're like, oh, I want to do that. So then they can opt to pull out and switch at the beginning of their 10th grade year and go into another pathway. And that's ideal because then they still have the 3 years to complete that pathway that they switched to.
Okay, so for pathways, you need 3 years of those courses.
To complete a pathway, yes.
I get the feeling that pathways are limited, so that there's not enough room for every student. Is it like first come, first serve?
They're definitely not. I mean, we have a plethora.
I mean, but they have limited room in every pathway.
Well, in class.
Based on the number of teachers, yes.
Right, okay. So it's like first come, first serve, or there's some that are way more popular than others, where you have to, I don't know.
Yes, we do have some that do max out rather quickly. I'll be honest with you, this year, most of mine are full. I mean, that's just honest. But ones that do tend to fill up very quickly are our engineering, drafting and design, because the CTAE, anything in CTAE,
I don't know what CTA is.
you want to tell them what CTAE is?
Career technical agricultural education, because those are the pathways come under. That's a state of Georgia program, and that's, yeah.
So within that, like digital technology, they only have in their classroom 28 computers. So I can't put anything beyond 28. The same thing with marketing. I can't put anything beyond 28. Engineering and drafting and design, because of, and when you come, if you haven't been to Midtown, when you come or when you see it, you'll see that those classrooms are very specific, and so they again have to be restricted to 28 students. So yes, and those are some of the ones that fill up rather quickly. Marketing, intro to digital tech. I'll be honest with you, a lot of them fill up quickly. So audio, video, tech, and film. I mean, that's a big one too. So they do fill up rather quickly. And that is why Mr. Vincent, the wizard, when you do your pathways, there's a time stamp.
Ah, so it is first come, first serve then. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
On that, I know at least my kid in their advisory class, they've already been asked to fill out pathways, like to register intent. So I didn't know if that was something that Howard was doing for you guys information.
What teacher did that? Because we are not doing that.
Well, you not signed up, but
So they talked about it,
They like to know.
they did talk about it in advisory here. My son came home, they talked about it, they discussed it, they didn't like sign up for it, but they did discuss it. My son
And
came
that's
home and
fine
talked
to
about it.
discuss it, and, but we definitely, pump your brakes a little bit. We want to wait till they come over and because they will be taken around the building by one of our beta club members, and they will really engage with them and talk with them about information. We will also do a presentation for them to quickly go through the pathways. You guys are going to get educated on the pathways as we continue on this transition process.
I want to go back to the question that was asked back there about math. Dr. Bachman, 2 years ago, you did a really great lunch and learn with Dr. Maxwell about the math path where it's on YouTube, on the David T. Howard YouTube, where it talked about what you get for those of us who are brand new and don't know all the classes, to me, it was just one of the most useful lunch and learns I've had. And if it hasn't changed, are you on the 8th grade Facebook page? No, okay, I'll send you, because I've sent it to many people, and it's been really helpful.
So if your child's, let's just say you're in algebra 1, your child's in algebra 1 right now. The normal path is next year, if they're algebra 1, geometry, then algebra 2, then pre-calc, and then calculus, statistics, AP statistics, there's lots of, or dual enrollment, there's, that's kind of a normal path. Then maybe some students are in an even more accelerated because they've done a GAPS class, they've done whatever, that trajectory is different. If your child's in 8th grade math, okay, which is like normal, okay, I don't want anybody thinking, oh, my child's not in the algebra. Algebra is really like a 9th grade class, okay? So nobody should feel bad because their child's in 8th grade math. Your child's in what grade? 8th grade, okay? They don't feel bad about 8th grade lit, right? That's what they're taking, so if they're in 8th grade math, then they take algebra. They can take honors geometry, algebra, or, regular geometry in 10th grade, and then algebra 2 in 11th grade, and then pre-calculus in 12th grade. Pre-calculus honors, it's pre-calculus, that's pretty heavy stuff, so everybody can, again, if you want to accelerate, there are programs in APS, I can't remember the
SIMSI,
SIMSI, that you can accelerate in the summer. If you want to get ahead in geometry, that kind of thing, or science, you can take some science there if you want to do that. But it's pretty much the same. The Georgia standards are changing, math and English, but that's not going to have a big, that's not a big thing.
The one thing I will say, and that's the other thing, again, I think use 9th grade as your year to really let your student get acclimated and oriented. And if they are successful and feeling really good, then you can look, we offer so many opportunities to accelerate that you do not have to worry all the way to dual enrollment. But there's also the summer, the SIMSI program, which is a summer math program that APS does, face-to-face, the month of June, they have to report, but again, Atlanta Virtual Academy, there are so many opportunities for your student to accelerate as they progress through high school. I'm talking with kids about it now who really feel like they've nailed down 9th grade and they're feeling good and they're wanting to think beyond 9th grade, how they can do A, B, C, and D. And so we'll sit down and kind of problem solve and look at that. But allow your student to get into high school and enjoy high school. There's so much fun things that happen in high school. You don't want them to miss out on the fun part.
You don't want to also say your child's in 8th grade math and they think, okay, this summer they're going to take algebra. 4 weeks of algebra does not compare to you. Okay, yes, they finished it online and all that, but you really need a good foundation in algebra to do well. So I would just caution you about wanting to speed through so that they catch up with their peer group or something, if they're in physical science. So some students here may be in the high school physical science, right? Talk about what that counts for.
And that is a high school credit. If they complete high school physical science, and they take the end of course test, they will get a high school credit that goes towards their graduation required courses. So that counts. But they still take biology. So the required science courses are biology. As a sophomore, it's either chemistry or environmental science, physical science. And so if they take it here, they've got that knocked out. They don't have to take physics. And then there's one more science that we require. And then that allows them to select from whatever they want to take.
Anatomy, physiology, astronomy, oceanography, very popular. And then, or AP biology, AP environmental, lots of
AP physics.
science.
Mhm.
And
that can be a dual enrollment class as well.
Yes.
So once they get to Midtown, do the students typically get like a one-on-one session with the counselor at some point while they're there? Or is it usually like the counselor kind of meeting with at the a whole grade level type of thing? Or is it they need to take that initiative if they've got questions?
I understand that this year I have over 400.
Yeah.
So do I meet individually the first week of school without? No. So what I do is I did get into all the ELA classes, along with Dr. Crawford, who used to be here, and Ms. Maxwell. What we do is we go push into those language arts classes and we talk to them about credits, transcripts, tutorials, community service. We use that opportunity for them to see our faces and to let them know where we are. We also, all of our counselors, we do, instead of like an advisory, our advisory is what's called SEL Daily. And so we go on, do Zoom calls, and we split up the whole school, and we do those 4 days a week, typically. And it's only a 15-minute session, but it allows them to see us and for us to make announcements, important things that they need to know. But we also follow the 7 Mindsets curriculum as well. If students need to see me, you can certainly say, can you meet with? Or a lot of students now, because they know who I am and they've seen my face, they pop in at lunch and come to see me, and we meet and discuss things. A lot of them will email me and I'll pull them. If they see me outside and they say, hey, can I talk to you? Yeah, just shoot me an email or stop by during lunch. I make myself really accessible. I'm usually running around places, and we have a suite, a counseling suite that's right next to the media center. And so it also makes us very accessible to students, and they know that. So it's just a matter of either they initiate it, you can initiate it, or maybe I might initiate it. If the student's struggling, I'm going to initiate it. Does that answer your question?
Tina does spend an awful lot of time scheduling every child individually. Every single child is scheduled individually. So, and then she also actually does that for 9th graders going into 10th grade. So, lots and lots of care goes on behind the scenes.
And that's the other, and I guess I forget that I have to do that too. The other thing that I do is they do get actually individual sessions with me. Once the grades are posted on the transcript in January when we come back, once we settle kind of in to the second semester, then again, I set up like a little desk outside the language arts classes, and I pull students and meet with them and say, okay, this is what posted on your transcript. These are your projected classes for 10th grade. Are we good with this? Or do you want to change? Do you want to adjust? And then Mr. Vincent and I work on that. So I work with scheduling them into the 10th grade as well.
And changing classes, changing teachers, all of that doesn't happen. So because of the intricacy of the schedule, you can't even imagine how difficult it is. So you can't just say, hey, I want this teacher, that teacher may not be teaching it the same. I mean, it is a huge puzzle piece. So, but say, what happens if your child takes human geography and is 9th grade and is really, really struggling, it's mid-quarter, it would be very rare that we could take the child out of human geography, because then of course you have to put them in something else, and so if you want your child to take human geography, which is an AP class, that is a college class, really, really think about it. It's a lot of, it's locked, okay? It's a lot of note taking, it's big picture about the world, culture, it is big. It's just not, don't just take it because, that's the AP class that child can take at night. You really want to look on the website and look at it. Mr. Wharton, who teaches it, will be doing a presentation for you all as well, but just because it's offered, doesn't mean they have to do it. A lot of kids take civics instead of that. They don't take civics, which is a 1 semester, and then you can pair that with something else the second semester.
And you also, the AP Human, you'll also get a sense, because if you do elect to take that, if your student elects to take that course, they will have summer work to do. So I think it is important to really look at each and every piece when you're doing the pathways and really have a good understanding of what your child is doing.
I know we're talking a lot about advanced class in the AP, but what if you have a child that needs some type of remedial classes, or what, is there any path that they should align with to kind of get them up to speed?
We do offer for massive, we have a math support class. That would be part of their schedule, and the way that we do that is called, if they're in algebra, it's called algebra support. And the way that we do that is we would schedule an algebra on an A day and algebra support on a B day, so that they're getting exposed to that content every day and they're not skipping. And that the algebra support is to beef up the basic skills that perhaps they are missing, so that they can perform in algebra. Okay. Then the second thing that we do is if they are behind in reading or like lit skills, we also have our reading support class. It's the same philosophy. It's to help them and guide them to beef up those skills that may be impacting them in a negative way. And so again, that would be a class that would meet that entire semester, and we try again to do it flip so that they have an A, B. And then as far as support, I mean, we have, as Dr. Bachman said, we have Ms. Maxwell, who is our support person who takes care of student support and 504s. And she is heavily involved. We have Dr. Crawford, who used to be here, who aids and assists me, and her and I work right with each other. And she really focuses on the ninth graders that might be struggling academically. And those are students that we would also recommend for Saturday school, or chasing down and telling them the tutorials are, to make sure that they're attending tutorials after school or before school. And then we have Ms. Namias, who also is helping. She kind of helps older kids. We have a ton of wraparound support. And if your student, if you feel your student is struggling, then reach out to them. I mean, as soon as, if I don't know about, if I'm not already meeting with the student, and you're seeing, starting to see some downslide, all you have to do is email me and we'll get it.
So that's a parent conference question, in the cafeteria, where you meet with all the teachers.
And that is a great option, and I will tell you, I only have 10 slots, but I had to push 11 for this next round, because, you know, it's just important, and we do try to work with parents to get them in when they need to. But that's a great thing to do. It is like, they call it speed dating, because the parent sits with the student, if the student wants to be there, and the teachers rotate through. It's a great, and parents walk away feeling really good about it, because in high school, it's so rare that you're able to sit down and see all teachers at one fell swoop.
When does that happen?
That you will sign up for it on Sign Up Genius, once your student is at Midtown. And we typically do it every first and third Tuesday in the cafeteria from 4 to 5, but you do have to sign up for a slot.
And that is not an opportunity for us to sign up to hear the teacher validate how great our kid is. We already know that. And, but really that needs to be for kids that are struggling, the teacher, the student needs to, it really is, it's not a meet the teacher thing. Okay, it's not. So, you know, I got a lot of this year, the kids signing up, and I look at, for the conferences, I'm a real busybody, and I look at kids' grades all the time. And, I mean, kids that have like all A's, the parents are signing up for conferences. And that is just not necessarily, because then you're sitting around across the table and the teacher's going, what's the problem? What? And, you know, and you're just really looking for some face time. That's what you're looking for. And so, you know, it's just, we kind of need that for kids that are maybe struggling.
Is anything changing with the curriculum, or any anticipated changes because the signature program is changing, or do you not anticipate that because it's already really built in? Okay, great.
We did algebra, and the kids taking algebra and physical science this year that gets them a high school credit. Does the grade carry over as part of the GPA as well?
Okay, So let me address that. So they get the credit for the course. Okay, and they get the grade. That does not weigh into their Hope GPA.
For either algebra or the physical science, maybe with us. And do they need to get a minimum score to get that credit?
Oh, no, they just have to pass 70%.
And they have to take that in the course test, right?
Yes. But that's weighed into it. Then
Right,
that's because that's part of the grade.
Right, if you're an algebra, they take both the algebra and the. Okay,
Anything
so, we're available for, by email, if you want to email us. So we do have a lot more information to come.
This is the first. The next one will be late this month. Will be the second one that we will be doing at midterm. And that'll be more in depth about you'll hear from teachers actually, not just.
Is that a Chris posted on the website or?
The transition and meeting day? Yes, that's on the website. Yes, ma'am.
Is that when we get it for?
It's also on the mailing.
Oh, yeah, it's in the mailing too, man. If you didn't, these handouts, if you didn't get those, grab those. That's, yeah. Southerner, didn't get the mailing, please help yourself. Question?
Is the one later this month when we kind of get it as raw?
You don't get it before. You get to hear from teachers, and you have clubs and activities typically set up.